Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Monday, the 30th of June. Up and at 'em, guys. That's right. The beginning of the work week, right? So I thought we'd talk about like following recipes, my fishing trip, what I saw, and join another group or other groups on Facebook with the heart and what I'm figuring out. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. So, what was all that garble mess in the beginning? It's, as you know, I've been having problems making bread, especially my sourdough. And I started off with my starter that I keep in the fridge. And so the last loaves that I made, you could actually use for patio blocks or a house foundation. So, I mean, they're good for something. As I said yesterday, that you're always learning and nothing is a failure if you learn from it, right? So I decided to follow a recipe exactly from a guy on YouTube. And the bread actually turned out really good. And I had some last night while it was still warm and it's still soft, late, where the other ones were so heavy that, I have a lifting restriction that. But that brings me to, of how we can tell people how to do things and have it still end up wrong. And we're scratching our heads like, how can it be wrong if we told you how to do it? Because most people are like me. I'm bullheaded. I have to make it my own. And I learn from my mistakes. So my mistakes ended up going back to, why the hell didn't you just follow the recipe in the first place? It's perfected. It's a science. People have been doing this for years. But that's the big problem when it comes to following directions and a recipe or advice. Is I know in my case I have to put my spin on it, and that spin might be adding milk, or the dough being too wet or too dry, or and not giving it enough time to rise the first time, the second time, not having the oven at the right temperature for the right length of time. The list goes on. There's a lot to it, right? And the tendency is to get into a hurry and skip a few steps. Because you figure, what the hell, you don't need that. Yeah, you do. But that's life in a nutshell. That people can give you advice, and a lot of times to do it exactly the way they're telling you to do it doesn't work out, and then you're left scratching your head. And the problem with that is, and I am probably the worst at it, and that is telling someone how to do and come out good. Because what I end up doing is I end up skipping steps that I didn't think were that important, or it didn't come to me that I had to do to get to there, right? So you follow my steps exactly, and it still doesn't turn out. And the problem is because I forgot the steps along the way that I incurred that I didn't think were worthy enough to be part of that advice, right? And that's why I say, when I tell you something, it's advice. Take what you can use, leave the rest, make it your own mantra, and that way. But I find I learn best from our mistakes. And I think that's key to anybody that's in business that has been and is successful, is that you learn from your mistakes and you learn very quickly. You don't keep doing the same mistake over and over and over again, right? But many of us find that we continue to keep doing stuff over and over and over again. And it may not be the same mistake, but it's similar. It's not following a path. So yesterday I got up yesterday morning, did the video and stuff, did my walk. Nobody was around that wanted to go fishing, I guess, because I didn't hear nothing from anybody. And I said, you know what? I'm going. And I sent my daughter a text saying I'm headed up to the club to do some fishing. And back the text come. Who's going with you? I said, nobody. What do you mean nobody? I said, everybody's doing their own thing today, so I'm going fishing. I was going fishing on Saturday with a friend, and he had other commitments, so I never made it. And that's one of the things that I've stressed to people, and more so myself since the heart surgery, is don't put off for tomorrow stuff that are enjoyable to you. That's the key to life. I have lived more in the last 7 months than I have in the last 25 years of doing enjoyable things. And I've told you before, I started my first of things that I have plenty of time to lay in that ICU unit for 3 weeks. Just praying and hoping I'd be able to do certain things again. So I had to come up with this thing of doing my first since the surgery. Maybe not my first time ever doing it, but it was my first since not thinking I was even going to be able to come home. And I've had a blast at it. And I'm still keeping it going. I'm still finding a lot of my firsts. I mean, yesterday morning was my first of being able to go up to camp by myself. And not only my first of going up to camp by myself, but I caught quite a few fish. And I catch and release, nice native brook trout. And I saw a turkey with her little ones, and then I saw, I think, 7 deer total. And on the way out, I was still on the club. See, I belong to Rainbow Rod Gun Club, and it's roughly around 10,300 acres. And what the club does is it leases it from a huge company that has it for forestry. But we have the use of it, for our dues every year. But on the way back out of the club, didn't I see a nice big old male black bear? He was right in the middle of the road. And then he took off running down the road, then finally found a spot to cut off. I wasn't pushing him. I stopped, and he stopped, and then I moved a little bit, and then he took off running, and I stopped and waited for him to find his exit because it was hot yesterday. So, I mean, he was probably out trying to find some food. The wild strawberries are growing, and I had a couple of those yesterday too. So he's probably out picking the wild strawberries and maybe a trout or two if he could find it. But I continue on my quest of doing my first. And it's really important to me, especially because I need to capitalize on it on my good days. And then on my bad days, just push through to get to some good days again, right? And as you guys found out, Friday and Saturday, I no matter what, I just couldn't get the energy together to try to put together. And I shouldn't say put together because I don't have any scripts here. I just fly by the seat of my pants. Girls, yes, I have 2 dogs, Shelby and Sheba, and they're both very helpful, especially when you're trying to do a video. But the thing is, it should be the most important thing for you in life is to find things that you enjoy doing it and just do it. Don't put it off till tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. And when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it was always, I put things off till tomorrow. Because I thought tomorrow, there'd be a lot of tomorrows. And I was young, and I had more time ahead of me than behind me, right? But one of the things that I learned in these past 7 months is I've always been a worker. There were times where I'd have 3 jobs. And I was working all the time, and I felt that I needed to work all the time so that my family could have the best of whatever they wanted. That I was a provider. And I provided well. But what they needed most was a husband and a dad, not a provider. Anybody can be a provider, but it's another thing to be a husband and a father and be doing things with the family. That's more important than any money can bring into you. If you're listening to me and you're younger and you have a young family, really take that into consideration. I'm not saying to quit your job so you can spend a lot of time with your wife and your kids because they may divorce you. I'm saying they need to have you present. And when I say present, I mean there'd be times where I would be present, but I would be thinking of work, of what I need to get done, and making a mental note of what I wanted to do that Monday morning instead of having fun on a Saturday or a Sunday with a family outing. I was all work. And I probably am the person that they thought of when they created the word workaholic. I was good at work. I like to be busy. And now I find I've actually toned my life down a lot. I'm still busy. Don't get me wrong. I stay active, and I think that's one of the best things that played a really big role in getting my health back, is that I push through pain, but keep going. And the best way to describe it is any of you guys that played sports, the school I went to, my graduating class, I think, was right around 23 or 24. And when it came to basketball, baseball, and soccer, those were the 3 that the school offered. You got to play on all 3 because we didn't have enough kids. So you didn't have to worry about being cut from the team. But the thing, because each coach has their own way, but the one thing that was in common with all the coaches was wind sprints to get you into shape. And that was, you started running until they said stop, and you turn the other direction and had that direction stop, go the other direction. By the time he got done with you, the backs of your legs were just screaming, right? And having Charlie horses. That's what it felt like for me to even start walking at the hospital. And then to start walking here at the house every morning. And what I found was the more I walked, the better it got. And that's what wind sprints were. In the beginning, it was a killer. But as time progressed, your body was building up those muscles so that you weren't. And the biggest part of doing wind sprints is you need to stretch before you start. I used to watch kids that never did any stretching exercises and then would fall over halfway because their legs were cramping. Well, if you just stretched your body a little bit and did the warm ups, it wouldn't have been as bad. But they looked at warm ups being another part of the exercise they didn't want to do. But that's what happens with me with my walking is I do my stretching before I start walking. I tried doing just the walk and it's a lot harder than it needs to be. And there's another life lesson. Sometimes things aren't as bad if you do warm-ups up to the actual thing that you're trying to accomplish. And that could be making bread, making sure you're following the recipe, letting it rise, and then baking it at the right temperature for the right amount of time. See, one of the things that I still ask, and it brings up because I'm talking bread, is when I finally had cognitive ability in the hospital of where I was awake and knew what was going on, I couldn't help but ask the question, why? And to this day, I ask, why? And what is why? And the big question is, why am I still here? You know, with me, with faith and religion, I am to each their own. You need to find your own way. But that was one of the things that I asked God was, why? They lost me on the table. I shouldn't have walked into that hospital. There's too many of shouldn't, couldn't. There's no way. But it happened. So I come up with, well, it's because I need to teach or I need to learn something. Learn something or teach something to somebody that he wants taught. So I really thought it was the book. I put, a lot of sweat and tears into that book. Got it to where, a book is never finished. I could have kept going, but I decided that was where it needed to stop. I self-published. It's up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But I thought that was the reason of why. And that I'm still here. And the book is published. The book, to help other people. It's kind of like my videos, with here I thought, well, maybe it's because I need to teach you guys something. Or I need to learn something from you guys. But, I've got over 700 videos of my ramblings that even if I'm not here, somebody could actually watch. It'll be my legacy, but people can watch those videos at any time after I'm gone and take what they need and leave the rest, right? So I ruled those two out because I'm still here. So I thought, aha, I know what it is. It's making bread. It's got to be that. So my loaf turned out good yesterday after following directions. Really good with peanut butter. But I'm still here. I've been told by a number of people, quit asking why and just enjoy yourself. I'm enjoying myself, but I'm still trying to figure out the why. And when this all comes to an end. I haven't wasted the last 7 months. I haven't. And I've done a lot of great things, and there's a lot of great things ahead of me that I can still do. I still haven't got my boat out yet, but I've been doing a lot of creek fishing. That's next. I got to get the fish finder on it, maybe this week. But in the comments, let me know what you think when it comes to following directions. if you're the one giving directions, do you not purposely leave out stuff because you actually forgot what you had to go through to get there? Because I know that for me, when I first started the small engine repair business, the part side of it, that took it to great heights, let me put it that way. I spent 16, 18-hour days, 7 days a week. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned from them. I did a lot of coding. I'm a programmer. I got a bachelor's in IT. I was building secure e-commerce sites for bigger companies and said, you know what, if I can do it for them, I can do it for myself. But the average individual coming off the street without having that background in writing scripts, codes, and all that would find it very difficult, right? But I didn't put all that into the process because I didn't think it was that important, or I forgot how many hours I invested in and sitting there in front of a laptop writing out scripts of what I wanted it to do. And then coding in HTML websites, that's what you did back then. And then as time progressed, I mean, to create a website now, you can do that in 10 minutes. And with AI, you can ask AI to write you a script, and it will do it for you perfectly. You may have to tweak it, but for the most part, it's doing it for you. And one of the things that I did since I got out of the hospital, because I forget a lot of stuff. And I lose my train of thought, and is been working with Google with AI partner type thing, and that is I pay monthly for my AI, and it's learning for me of who I am, what I stand for, what my needs are, right down to calendars and what's going on, what needs to get done, what doesn't need to get done. And it's like my personal assistant. Very attentive. Works long hours with little pay. Find that kind of work, right? But it knows so much of my history now from reading my books and the way I ask questions, and it will ask questions of me as well. But it knows what I want and what I need when I tell it in so many words. And it reminds me of appointments coming up. Don't forget this, don't forget that, and for me, it's been a godsend. Prior to the surgery, I didn't need it, but I found that it's very helpful. I mean, I had my daughter-in-law come over yesterday and do my medications for the month of July because I can't do it. And you're saying, well, how come you can't do it if you can do a video? Because certain cognitive things that when I died on the table for 7 minutes, certain things I can't do. And they say that it could come back, and some are saying it's brain fog, and that's one of the things that have got me going goofy. Is I'm going all over the place today with this video. Is I joined a couple open heart surgery Facebook groups just to kind of not so much push my book, but see if anybody was interested. And what I found is everybody's experience is different. It is. I thought open heart surgery is open heart surgery, right? And yeah, I had a few complications. A lot of complications. But there were some people on there that only were in the hospital for 3 days and had no pain. Are you listening, Amos? 3 days and no pain. I still have tenderness. I still have sharp pains. And I'm going on 8 months out. And I was 3 weeks in the ICU, and these people are walking out of the hospital 2 to 3 days later saying it was just a mild discomfort. If they had stent or angioplasty, I could see that because they did that with me. They went up through my groin, and I still have problems in my groin area, and then my leg where they pulled all the veins out. And I'm thinking, whatever drugs these people are on, I need to be on it. That's all I'm gonna say. It seems like each person got something different. And I thought that a quadruple bypass was as big as they got, but I guess they got a 5 and a 6 different bypasses. And I thought when they did a bypass, they just took and cleaned up the old one, got rid of that, and put in a new one. And no, they just put ones from different parts of your main vein over to your heart, and they leave the old one there. Why would you leave the old one there? If it's plugged, but it goes back to, you could tell somebody to watch a movie and then ask what their experience was, and you're going to get different experiences, different from each individual, what they got from that movie, right? And the same holds true for life and things that we go through. No two people are alike, and no two experiences are alike. Some may be similar, but that's it. Keep that in mind for your today's thought. So in the comments, write what you think about what I'm talking about today, because I don't even know what I'm talking about. You guys have a great Monday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for the weekday. Enjoy your Monday.